Glenn's still on Oh, you're not. You're at home. I thought you would maybe get you on a fishing boat or over the phone again.
Yeah, it was the original plan was a 7-day trip, which is why I have the bye week. First time in 30 years for that. But a 7-day trip to Bamfield. Now, Bamfield is on the west coast of Vancouver Island. So you have to take the ferry from Vancouver over to Nanaimo, and then you drive for a while. It's actually probably 2 hours, 2 or 3 hours, but there's only one highway into Bamfield and out. And
Oh,
it's a long haul. And what happened, like the week we were supposed to leave, was the forest fires. The forest fires happened on the island,
oh,
not only shut down the highway in and out, but also knock out the electrical in Bamfield for a week. So I just couldn't take a chance. Although it would have been nice to be trapped in Bamfield salmon fishing for the next 2 or 3 weeks, I just couldn't afford to be trapped in there and miss a bunch of games. So yeah, it switched up to Gibson's, which is closer, one quick ferry over, no fires, and it was a great trip anyway. Nice, and I'm gonna go back out this weekend with my son. So good stuff.
Gibson's. Is that where they filmed the Beachcombers? Molly's
Yeah.
Reach.
Yes, and Molly's Reach is still there.
Yeah,
Right below, it's still sort of a coffee shop, that kind of thing. And just
yeah.
below that is one of the great, and I can't even remember the name now, but it's a great seafood place just below it. Same owners now, I think. But Molly's Reach is still there, and they're selling hats and T-shirts.
Oh man, what I wouldn't give to go back. Nick Adondris cruising his boat around back in the day. A simpler time we lived in back in the '80s. Let's get to the Stamps and Riders, Glenn, and get your take on things. Last time the Stamps were here, right? There was like the Riders. They kind of got bullied a bit. I would almost bet the farm or both farms that the Riders are going to be prepared and they are going to be really physical on the lines.
Well, that's one of their strengths. I mean, I've been harping on this for a couple weeks now that collectively that defensive line certainly for Saskatchewan has been a real strength of that team, and it allows Corey Mace to call a lot of different type of exotic coverage looks because of it. So when you look at that D line and what they're doing up front, and they're causing problems for even the veterans. It allows you to do a lot of disguise. Guys can hold disguise longer. That's another key to a four-man pressure that's getting there. And then when you do send pressure, there's always a free guy. So that allows for throws that aren't on target. And once that happens, your DBs can make hay, like you see on the podcast right now. So yeah, this is going to be a challenge in a big way though, because first of all, it's a game of the week, and again, another one that I wish I was doing. But um, it's going to be challenging in that Calgary has a very similar sort of defensive structure, and maybe not all the X's and O's the same, but where their strengths and weaknesses are. Younger in the secondary, but still making plays back there, and their front four is excellent. So I think defensively they kind of match up there, and they're getting a lot of injured guys back. Like Barney, you're going to see maybe even Adam Bighill play. Um, you're going to see Alfred, the rookie receiver, the tall rookie receiver, probably going to play again. I think Philpott is back and healthy again for Calgary. So they have a lot of their sort of big play receivers that have been hurt are returning to the lineup, and their quarterback's healthy too. So it'll be a challenge.
Obviously, with that front four, their job is to get the quarterback either to sack him or push him off his spot. Problem is, Vernon Adams is probably the best quarterback at being off his spot. He's so mobile. What do you think the defensive back that secondary is going to be queuing in on?
Yeah, it's a great question, Greg, because you're bang on. I mean, he Vernon Adams uses his legs differently than a running quarterback. Like he's not a Damon Allen. He's not that kind of guy. He can run and he can run very effectively. But what he does is he uses his quick feet to negotiate the pocket with his eyes up and down the field. and he is allowing for double moves and things like that because of it. So he can say to your receiver, be patient in your route because I'll just buy some time back there. And, as a DB, you have to react eventually. I mean, you might not bite on the first move, but you have to react. If a guy's running an out and you say, no, I don't believe you on the out, I think you're coming up. You can do that once, but if it gets to a second time, now you've got to turn. So I think it allows for that and receivers to run and be patient, run some of those double moves and things. Um, and he is he's a gunslinger. He's a gunslinger. Vernon Adams is not. He's a different style than Trevor. He's not sort of a surgeon. Trevor is a surgeon and dissects a defense. Vernon is kind of a gunslinger that says, I got a matchup down the field. I'm giving my receiver a chance, and he's going to throw it up. Now, the to your question, the Rider secondary is good enough to make those plays in the one-on-one matchup. So if they do play man, which we'll see what Corey Mace does, but when they're in those set, and we sometimes we divide those two things too much, man and zone, because a zone look is basically dropping, and then it becomes man as soon as a receiver comes in your zone. So those matchups of zone defenses turn into man-to-man anyway as you get down the field. And let's see some of those jump balls and things like, does Milligan and some of those guys in the back end, do they start making some of those plays when they're in the 50-50 ball category? Because we know they can.
The one thing that you don't see a lot in the CFL, I get the clocks are different, NFL to CFL. You don't see teams do a lot of hurry up, call things on the line. When the defense is tired, when things are pushing, it just adds that wrinkle, right? You played defense, it. But if you can you see a team huffing and puffing and rolling, and to keep a team, you're guessing, B, you're tired, and where you're going, they don't. You just don't see that a lot. I wonder if that's a wrinkle at some point. We could see the Riders, and I could see a team like Calgary really benefiting for something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Better for the offense when you're at home because you don't have to fight the crowd noise. And I know some will have fun with the fact that maybe there won't be that much crowd noise in Calgary. But I think for this game there will be a very split sort of fan base there. You're going to see a lot of green and white in Calgary, as you always do. But it's a good point, Barney, because I've said many times when we talk about time of possession and how if an offense is dominating the time of possession, let's say the Riders are dominating the time of possession and they have the ball for 12 minutes and the opponent has the ball for 8 minutes. And I say this is going to catch up to the Calgary Stampeders as the game goes on. They're going to start to fatigue on their D-line. And people say, well, why does the defense get tired, but the offense, who's out there for 12 minutes, doesn't get tired? Because to your point, the offense knows where they're going. There's a play drawn up where a receiver runs his route with precision, and that might be and the defensive back has to cut 4 or 5 times, backpedal, get out of his backpedal, maybe redirect, if you're ever in a hockey situation where you're in the corner and you have to redirect and battle in the corner and take 3 steps one way and 4 steps back, how quickly the burn happens in your legs. Well, that's what defenses have to do, right? So defensive line, same thing. DBs, linebackers, same thing. And that's why they fatigue when an offense is staying on the field and dominating the time of possession. And hurry up can do that, but there is a downside to hurry up. The downside to hurry up is that you can be 2 and out too quickly. And if you're out there and not everybody's on the same page because they might not hear or whatever, you can be out quickly, and then you give the opposition more possessions.
You need the football IQ to run a proper hurry up for sure, sir.
Obviously, this game being the Riders and Calgary, it's probably going to be tight. And the big story right now is Brett Lothar and his kicking, and them bringing in Campbell Fair. Rash suckered me into a 1.5 misses this week bet for next week. What where are we at with Brett Lothar? Do you think is it in his head? Is it physical? Is he still the kicker that Rider Nation believes he is?
I think he is, and I'm going to stick with him. I as far as my opinion of him, because I watch him strike the ball, and it's there. He's missing field goals, yes, but he's missing them deep. It's not like he's mishitting the ball. It doesn't look like there's any injury situation or that he got drastically out of shape in the offseason or anything like that. So I see physically a guy who is striking the ball well. And if that's the case, then what is it that he pushes one time and pulls one the next time? It's got to be mental. And it is such a cerebral position to play. I mean, you have to deal with the pressure that your teammates have driven the ball, physical game, up and down the field. And now you have to go out there and you have one job and you got to put the ball through the uprights. And you haven't gone through the physical challenges. And there's a lot of pressure on you mentally because of that. I know with working and being so close to Dave Ridgway for all those years in Regina, that I know how much he struggled with that pressure, that he might let down his teammates if he misses. And that can compound on itself. It just starts to stack up that, every time, even short field goal attempts, you start to think, I don't want to let him down. I know I can hit it. You're battling self-doubt. So again, I think if you get down to the simple, bring in competition, that covers the team, because if the competition, who is a young guy that no one really knows, but if he has a live leg, then he is an option down the road if Brett Lothar still continues to struggle. And if he doesn't, which I don't think he will, I think this will be the catalyst to getting him back on track and just simplifying it. If I don't kick well, I lose my job. It's pretty simple. If I don't kick well, I lose my job. It's not, it takes away all that other emotional stuff with teammates and coaches' speeches and all those things. There's a guy in the camp. If I don't kick well, it just, I think it'll lock him in. And he's not, there are some kickers, and not Ridgway and not Lothar, but there are some kickers that are a little flaky. Let's be honest. They're a little different, right? They're just different type of guys sometimes. I mean, look at some of the other ones in league history. But Brett Lothar is a mentally tough guy. So he's going to. I think he's going to get through this. I really do. Now, you might want to tape it and tape what we just talked about and roll it back in a month and say, your prediction was wrong.
Right.
But I am choosing to believe in Brett Lothar and believe he can get through this.
That's the common theme around here. There's no doubt about it. All right. We'll wrap it at that today. Good to see you back, safe and sound, Glenn. What game are you doing?
I have the bye week. I have a bye week.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a bye week. So I guarantee you one thing, Barney, that in about an hour from now, there'll be a big piece of Chinook salmon on my barbecue in the backyard as I watch Montreal Winnipeg.
Attaboy. Attaboy. All right, Glenn. Have a good weekend. Enjoy it. Take it all in. You deserve it. We'll talk next week.
Thank you, gentlemen.